It's a race against time to minimize the impact of load shedding on businesses and consumers, with Eskom's technicians working around the clock to restore a total of 3,200 megawatts of energy by Wednesday. The power utility has since downgraded load shedding from stage 6 to stage 5, attributed to a number of units that have come back online following a ramped up maintenance that saw boiler tube leaks at some power stations.
There has to be heightened levels of planned maintenance. We have received fiscal support. We do things right. Don't cut the corners. Make sure that whatever you do, you place the safety of employees first. We return them at the time we said we'll return them. When we return them, they are healthier, they perform better, the efficiency levels are higher. That's how we're going to resolve load shedding. And then accept that there's a risk associated with the strategy we're pursuing. And those risks materialized. They materialized Thursday, Friday, Saturday. These units went out.
The electricity minister says the outlook for the week is positive as they work on returning the units back online. The country should be on stage 4 this week. He has dismissed assertions that the president did not give an accurate picture to the nation in his State of the Nation address when he said the end to load shedding was within reach.
What was the amount of load shedding or the amount of hours that you didn't have electricity in November 2023 compared to November 2022? What was the amount of load shedding in December of 2023 compared to December 2022? What was the amount of load shedding in January 2023 compared to January 2024? What is the amount of load shedding in February of 2023 compared to February of 2024? It's coming down. That's the point I'm making. And it's on account of the fact that the units have returned, as we said, they will return. Unit 1, 2, 3, Kusile. Unit number 5 is synchronized. The investments that Mr. Nxumalo, Treasury has made available to Mr. Nxumalo and the team is coming down, and that's why we're saying that it's within reach.
It's rejected claims that the current heightened stages of load shedding can be attributed to acts of sabotage and criminal activities at the power utility.
Security cluster is within the stations. We are doing investigations within our call space everywhere. So these are ongoing things to look for intelligence. But currently on what has happened that led to this, you've seen that the biggest change is what I've just explained now with Medupi. And then also what has happened with the number of tube leaks then that happened between Thursday and Friday as well. So there is ongoing investigations and security scans that we are undertaking.
Government has appealed a High Court ruling that ordered that schools, police stations and hospitals, amongst others, be exempted from load shedding, with the minister saying they await clarity on that ruling, which will inform how government moves. The electricity minister not able to give an assurance of when load shedding will be a thing of the past, but says they continue with ramped up maintenance that will address similar losses in generation units in the future. The court's also expected to give clarity on that exemption order as Eskom continues with its investigations and consumers urged to continue using electricity sparingly. SABC News in Pretoria.
We're joined now by energy analyst Adil Nchabeleng for more. Very good evening to you, Mr. Nchabeleng, and thank you so much for speaking to us. As I'm sure you've heard and you may have formed an opinion about it, the Minister Ramokgopa is saying it's a temporary setback. We're seeing Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General of the ANC, saying stage 6 load shedding is clear sabotage and strong extra security measures are needed. In your mind, which is it?
Well, I think the assertion that it's a clear sabotage, we should be dismissed, because right now, when we are talking about the current in terms of plant unit breakdowns, they're sitting at 16,000 megawatts, and Eskom is undertaking a 7,000 megawatts planned maintenance. So there is no sabotage in there. The units are breaking down, and there is an element of probably maintenance neglect as well as refurbishment. We've said it in the past that there is a constant trend within Eskom whereby there is 16,000 to 18,000 megawatts of power plant units that are never repaired, are never brought back into operation, and have been lingering for the last 2-3 years at that same amount. That is why we've had constant load shedding without a break and without any plan by either Eskom board, Eskom ministers that are responsible for the electricity generation, as well as Treasury in general, to come up with a solution to say, what are we going to do as management and executives, and as well as departments that are line departments responsible for Eskom, in order to capitalize Eskom, to can repair, refurbish, as well as renew the 16,000 megawatts units that are currently out of operation.
So Eskom, as far back as last year, said post the winter period, it would ramp up maintenance schedules, and you've heard the Eskom CEO say they're currently, in terms of what has happened, what's led to this is the biggest changes at Medupi and a number of tube leaks that happened between Thursday and Friday as well. But we also hear that planned maintenance or unplanned maintenance could be part of this. So is this something that is unforeseen as part of their planning that they were doing last year? What has led to this? Because the issue of demand is also being raised.
No, this has not been unforeseen. Remember, the fact that there were more units like Medupi and particularly in the Kusile side of it that we came into line, where those units that actually saved the country from experiencing severe load shedding and load shedding crisis, because you had almost about 2,000 added into, and then you had the repair of Kubek, which brought in another 1,000, and then you had other units that were brought back into line in respect to ensuring that there could be more higher capacity availability. So, what has happened is Eskom probably became comfortable and forgot the fact that they are still sitting with the 16,000 megawatts of broken down units that needed to have been repaired. Remember, the lesser you have on unscheduled, you call it the UCLF, unscheduled, capacity loss factor, you are much more likely not to have load shedding. So the fundamentals are simple. There's no science required. It's a process and a procedure and a technical formula that needs to be followed. Unfortunately, is continuing maintenance at the same pace and rate with the same ability to say, I'm going to repair what is currently broken, is you working on power plants that are operational. You're not attending to the power plants that are sitting idle, that have not come into operation for months on end, and some of them have been sitting for years. So the focus right now should be on addressing the 16,000 megawatts of those out of schedule, broken down power plants. That needs money, that needs capital injection from Treasury. And Treasury has not been addressing this issue particularly. And we are not even hearing of a solution to say, how are we going to repair these plants? Not under maintenance or under schedule. We need a budget to refurbish, repair, as well as bring them back into operation, as well as negotiate the issue of the minimum emission standards that are required for these power plants to operate. The problem, we've articulated it over a year on a very clear strategic outlook. We've written articles, we've written opinion pieces, we've done studies, we've done research. The problem sits on the UCLF within Eskom, which is your breaking down of units that are sitting at a constant 16,000 megawatts. They haven't mitigated any of that crisis of fixing and refurbishing and bringing in renewal of those power plants in terms of refurbishing them to their renewed state of operation and operability. So if you don't address that key issue, you're going to keep on coming back and forward and giving us, excuses as to why maintenance currently that is already forecasted maintenance is not working. Because you're having 16,000 power plants that are sitting, and on top of it, you have taken out 7,000 megawatts out of operation for scheduled maintenance. Nothing wrong with that, but why are we not addressing the 16,000 and bringing it out and reducing it from 16,000 to about 10,000?
Can I ask you, what do you think is the source of, what do you think is the source of that? Is there, as what we've heard, a fractured approach by the three departments, and I'm including here the electricity minister, who today also presented an update on the energy action plan? Because if you look at what happened last year, I think it was November, It was Eskom itself that gave a forecast that said for most of 2024 and early 2025, the electricity situation looks dire. But from what the electricity minister is saying, what the president says, it seems to be a completely different picture.
Look, unfortunately, the line ministry and the president in this case shouldn't be actually dragged into this crisis, because it's the line ministers that should have been actually sitting and taking the fire with regards to load shedding. The president gets updated of information that he considers to be reliable with regards to fixing of these power plants and restoring them. So far, no work has been done to fix the 16,000 megawatts that has been lingering for the last 3 to 4 years, as we are talking, with respect to the crisis of load shedding at stage 6 in South Africa. No work has been done. It's still sitting at 16,000, and we are having an accumulative number of it. So the line function, confusion, ministers, who's there, and all of that, all they need to come is to an agreement to say, where is the required budget? How much can we be spending? Do we need to reduce on the diesel and take that money, prioritize it in bringing back the 6,000 that is required, that will close the gap for load shedding stage 6 level, 6,000 megawatts restored. You have no problem of load shedding. We can go into a wonderful election. We can go into the year without looking at problems. And then Eskom would work in the background to restore and recover more power plant units. So I don't know why it's so difficult for this to come across to the decision makers in terms of their ability to can really say, we need money, we need the resources to be dedicated to the 16,000 megawatts of broken down units. And that's what needs to be done. And we've said it many times.
All right, it's a pity we can't continue with the conversation. Adil Nchabeleng, that is energy analyst. Meanwhile, the